Hello and welcome to this full moon update. We have a glorious Virgo full moon on February the 24th. It will be exact at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this full moon is also called the snow moon because it is the last official full moon in our winter season here in the Northern Hemisphere. And so we have this beautiful ending to our winter season with this full moon. And let me tell you, it packs a punch. It is definitely a very powerful full moon. It is also a full moon that very much focuses on, and has been as it's been building, focusing on the energy of relationships, connections that we have in our life, that we had in our life, and ones that we are perhaps wanting to bring into our life. All of the relationship stuff is really put under the microscope during this full moon because it's very much about the purging, the releasing of connections, of relationships that truly no longer serve you, connections that have been weighing you down, connections and relationships that have been very one-sided, any and all relationships where there has been an imbalance in the exchange of energy between those two people. All of those connections are now falling away. They have an opportunity to fall away, but we really have to choose that for ourselves. We have to choose to use this full moon energy to our advantage and really take this opportunity to release those connections, even if it's difficult, even if we have, certain unhealthy attachments around them. It is very important to release those at this time. This is a time for us to look within ourselves and ask ourselves some very important questions. What do you want to leave behind in this winter season? What connections? Like I said, there's a specific emphasis here on relationships. So what relationships are you going to leave behind in this winter season to begin the new season with beautiful, fresh energy and with fresh connections, with a new open heart, but in a very different kind of open heart. This full moon is a time when we are releasing, we are healing, we are rejuvenating, relinquishing, and purging. So, there are going to be many things I think that you're going to naturally feel that want to or need to fall away from your life at this time, things that you just don't want to continue carrying forward. And we may feel emotions more intensely because of this release, because of this huge release actually that wants to, and not only wants to, but needs to happen at this time. So you might also have significantly more heightened intuition where you're really just getting gut feelings or nudges, or greater insight is how I want to say it, like significantly greater insight into the things that need to change, the things that you no longer can hang on to, that just doesn't work for you. So this full moon is a bit of a call out. It's calling you out and really asking you to look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I happy right now, right here in this moment with the way everything is? Am I happy? As you tune into your intuition, look for those subtle feelings, because the intuition oftentimes can be very subtle, but look for those subtle feelings within you that are pointing you in the right direction, that are saying, go here, don't go there, don't talk to this person, cut that person out. It's communicating with you. And during and under this full moon, you may notice that intuition kick into high gear, where you're like really getting strong feelings about certain action that you need to take, or something that you need to do, something that you need to release to really be able to move on and to move up. Because when full moon representing the completion of a cycle shows up in our life, that completion of a cycle is for real. Like every single full moon, we have this opportunity to let things go, to let old ways of being go, to let old habits go, to let old ways of thinking go, to let relationships go. There's so much that we always have an opportunity to let go during full moon cycles. It's also asking you to remain grounded. So don't be in your emotions to the point where you might make sort of faulty decisions where you're like, oh, but I feel bad to like tell this person this, or like to tell someone, something they're doing maybe is annoying or isn't working for you. Do not get into that right now, because this Virgo full moon is asking you to balance your logic and your emotions. So this isn't the time to be overly emotional about certain things that need to be released. It's a time to be logical about it. And if something has been having a negative effect in your life for some time, if a connection with an individual has been really weighing on you and has been giving you headaches in the sense of like you're overthinking or you're constantly thinking afterwards after having an interaction with a person like, man, why did I do that again? Or man, why did I let them do that again to me? Or whatever. When you have those insights, this is the time to not be emotional about that and to really use your logic and just kind of, sort of take score in a way. How many times have you had positive and how many times have you had negative experiences with that person? And what's like, put it on the scale. What is more? Because if it's more negative, then this is the time to just chop it. It's time to let it go. It's time to release that. What people don't understand oftentimes when it comes to spiritual evolution and when it comes to your personal growth is, how are you going to grow if you're always in this energy of making sure that other people's emotions are not hurt? If you're always in this energy of sort of people pleasing and putting other people's feelings before your own, you can't grow. That's a cycle. That's a pattern, right? A bad negative pattern, a self-destructive pattern that we will often loop in for sometimes years and even lifetimes. If you don't catch yourself, if you don't become aware that you are allowing, others to cause imbalance in your life. And that isn't necessary, right? It's all up to us to really notice when this happens and nip it in the bud and just like release and let go. But so many people would prefer to walk on eggshells and would prefer to not say anything just so that they don't hurt somebody's feelings. Well, this Virgo full moon is saying, hey, this isn't the time for that. This is the time for radical acceptance and radical truth. And it is definitely a time to express truth in a very radical way. Balancing your logic and your emotions under this full moon will be very important and very beneficial to you if you so choose. Now, you may be also feeling more determined to manifest your dreams into actual concrete, tangible reality. This Virgo full moon is, again, with the groundedness, with the earth element to it, is definitely asking you to and giving you the opportunity to bring something into physical form, where it's not just in the mind anymore, or it's not just in the heart, but it's actually in your hand. So there is this beautiful opportunity for that to really manifest. And I would actually highly encourage anyone that is looking at manifesting things to spend some time in meditation and really visualize that thing that you're desiring to manifest to already be real. It's in your hand, you're holding it, it's tangible. Make this a very focused meditation under this full moon, and it will really, really support that to bring that into fruition. Now, we may also find it a little bit difficult to express ourselves under this full moon. So even though there's this huge energy of like emotion and needing to express emotion, you may actually find it a little bit challenging to say what you need to say, to speak your truth. And that is simply because Mercury is not in a very good aspect with this full moon, but that's okay. That's okay. What that does is it just brings in this challenge, and it's challenging us actually to still move ahead, to still use your intuition and still say what you need to say, even if it feels uncomfortable. And as a matter of fact, that's what makes this full moon even better, I personally think, because it's really sort of forcing or bringing or pushing us to be courageous, to be brave, to shamelessly say what we need to say, right? And while, like I said, the communication part may be challenging, you might be all up in your head or overthinking things, that's okay. That's okay. This is a time to ground yourself, go for a walk, get yourself settled and calm, spend some time in nature, and then put your words together, write them down in point form if you need to, and then compile that message, write that email, write whatever it is, or send that text or whatever. That's the way to do it. We must speak our truth. Otherwise, holding it in is going to cause major internal disruption. And you're really going to feel it. Like there's just going to be this intensity and this heaviness to continue suppressing, to continue holding in things that need to be said. It's like, can you allow your throat chakra, to open? Can you allow yourself just to say what you need to say, even if you don't know how it's going to be received, even if you don't know, or even if you think that, or maybe that it won't be liked, right? Maybe you need to say something to somebody and put an end to a toxic cycle, and maybe you're a little bit afraid to do that because you're worried about how it's going to be received. Well, this full moon is saying it doesn't matter how it's going to be received, because that is not your thing to figure out, nor is it something that you can control. So don't allow this internal pressure to, one, continue building within you, because it's already been brewing for quite some time, hasn't it? And certainly don't allow yourself to keep repressing. It is so unhealthy to repress, our feelings and our truth and what is in alignment with us. It's extremely important to express that. It's also very important to allow yourself to release frustrations, frustrations that maybe you've been holding in for a long time. That's why I'm saying this full moon is really asking us to speak our truth. Man, is it ever. Instead of repressing and internalizing all of those feelings. Because what happens when you don't speak your truth, okay? Let's look at that for a second. What happens is you end up becoming so resentful, so frustrated, so bottled up, like I'm seeing like bottleneck kind of situation, so stressed, like they're showing me how the cells in the body actually become extremely stressed when we push it down, when we don't allow ourselves to be truly authentic and just speak our truth in whatever way we need to speak it and in whatever way it wants to come out, right? It is extremely toxic and very unhealthy for us to do that. And this full moon is asking you to recognize how you hurt yourself by not speaking your truth. How are you not serving yourself by not speaking your truth and not speaking up for yourself, perhaps, not standing up for yourself, perhaps? There's an opportunity to be in control of your emotions at this time and elevate your life in a beautiful way. But it's a choice that you have to make. If you choose to elevate your life at this time by speaking your truth, and as a result of speaking your truth, cutting things away, cutting people away and circumstances, situations out of your life that have not served you, all of a sudden it's like you're cutting all this dead weight off. It was so funny yesterday, actually, as I was already thinking about the energy of this full moon. There was a tree across the street here that the tree cutters were like tree trimmers were coming to trim up, and it was so symbolic. It was crazy of how they were coming to cut away all of this dead stuff, all the dead branches basically off of this gorgeous pine tree. And it just reminded me of how this is exactly what this full moon is about. It's about cutting away the dead stuff. It's about releasing those frustrations and finally speaking your truth and just saying what you need to say. That's what this full moon is about. So remember what you have learned from your past. And remember, can you keep in mind that everything that you have been through, everything that you have now much clearer awareness of, is knowledge. That is wisdom that you have gained. And this wisdom is giving you an opportunity to not repeat past mistakes, to not go on another round, on another cycle, the same frustrations with the same repressed emotions and feelings that we've been locking within inside of us. You have this beautiful opportunity to to just tackle different situations in different ways and to really do something about it so that you don't, again, begin a new cycle with it and go on another round with the same stuff. I also want to ask you here, like, how has not speaking your truth been working out for you? Has it been working out for you? How have you felt? Perhaps all this time or for some time, or however long it's been since you have started to notice that something was bothering you and you weren't speaking your truth. How has that been working out for you? Because this is where the wisdom comes from. When you kind of look back and you say, okay, all this time I haven't said anything, and yeah, that hasn't been fun. I've been suffering in the process. I've been in turmoil. I've been frustrated. I've been stressed. I've been angry. I've been this. I've been that. You have an opportunity to let that go. So this is a big, big opportunity to heal through the letting go, through the release. You get to heal. Expressing your hidden emotions can be challenging, very challenging sometimes. It's so hard to speak our truth. So many of us, so many people have, throat chakra blockages and issues because they just don't know how to speak their truth, because they're so afraid of being judged. They're so afraid of things not going the way that they hope from speaking that truth, or from people not liking them anymore. But once you get to this level of loving yourself so deeply and so purely and so honestly, then you will not need that superficial, artificial love, that conditional love from people. You just won't need it anymore. You won't, as a matter of fact, you'll actively look to avoid it. You will actively dodge it. You won't be interested in connections that feel conditional once you hit a certain level of unconditional love for yourself. And speaking your truth is a part of that unconditional love. It's having the courage to say what you need or to say how you feel about something. You're also giving that other person an opportunity to respond, to learn. Because when you speak your truth, and there's often wisdom within that truth, that other person also gets to think about what they've done perhaps wrong, or it's like you get to call them out and they get to learn from that calling out, even if they respond negatively. Allow this completion to take place. Allow this release of frustration to take place within you, and allow yourself to just let go and release. This is also an opportunity to get off this hamster wheel. Perhaps you've been stuck on a hamster wheel for quite some time, putting up with things that you don't need to be putting up with. And when you really love yourself, you will see that you do not need to put up with anyone's shit, because you're worthy of love, and you'll recognize that within yourself. You'll feel it within yourself. You'll just know that you're worthy of love, that you are worthy of abundance, of prosperity, of good, and that you are worthy of others also loving you unconditionally. And the ones that can't need to go from your life. It's really that simple. There's such an opportunity to release stress and tension with this full moon by letting certain things go, that I really wouldn't miss out on this opportunity. It's going to yield long-term positive results for you. Now, although this Virgo moon makes it challenging to express ourselves, talking and sharing our thoughts can be very, very helpful in the long run. And the full moon also wants us to uncover hidden sentiments and secrets, allowing us to gain a better understanding of ourselves and the complexities of our emotions. And our emotions are very complex, because there are so many different things that we can feel about one specific situation. It's crazy. Now, Venus and Jupiter connecting on the 24th, on the day of the full moon, will remind us to remain optimistic and to remain realistic. So don't fall for the illusions of fear that your mind is going to project at this time. Because usually when we're on the cusp of making big changes, that always comes with a whole big bag of fear. And so it's very important to look at that fear and to realize how all of it comes from your ego and your ego only, and that it's not real, that it's an illusion. And your mind is going to create scenarios like that, like so quick. It'll just come up with all kinds of negative scenarios of why, speaking your truth may not work out for you, or how that other person is going to respond to you speaking your truth. So don't allow those illusions to get in the way, okay? You got to stay grounded within reality. And the reality is you don't know how that other person is going to respond. You might have a feeling how they're going to respond. And this is a very good time to trust that intuition, trust the feeling that arises within you when you think about having this conversation with somebody or sending a message or whatever. It's a great time to reflect on your thoughts and emotions to really gain some deeper understanding. So think about how you're feeling and why you're feeling the way that you're feeling. And think about how many times your intuition has been connected to those feelings, has been kind of trying to guide you to your truth, and has been guiding you to this reality, this truth reality, right? When you feel a certain way about a person, when you have certain thoughts or have certain, feelings come up within you about a person, can you please trust that? Can you just really, truly trust that? Because if you have a feeling, your intuition doesn't lie, ever. Only your thoughts do. Only your ego lies. So go with that. Go with whatever the intuition is telling you. If your intuition is telling you someone's no good for you, then someone is not good for you. That person is not good for you. So as I mentioned, it is a very beneficial time to do some soul searching, do some introspection, really figure out within yourself what has been frustrating you, what has been stressing you out, what has been bothering you for a significant amount of time perhaps, that you just really haven't addressed, that you've been shoving under the rug, that you haven't had the courage perhaps to change in your life, or you haven't had the courage to speak your truth about. Really take some time to reflect on that over the weekend and think about this and consider what you want your relationships to be like. What kind of relationships do you want to have? Because usually when we go through a big purge and we release a bunch of connections that are not healthy for us, then we have this opportunity to kind of recreate what we want to experience when it comes to relationships. Like, what kind of people do you want to have relationships with? And this is why it's important to really be connected to your values and to what is important for you and what nurtures you and what helps you to grow. Because as you move through this process, it really allows you to then sort of sift and sort through the types of connections that would be very beneficial for you, that would support you, that feel loving, that feel kind, right? So it's important to connect to what you want your new relationships to look like. So if you're, getting rid of a friend group that perhaps is gossiping behind your back all the time and you know it and you've had a feeling about it for like a long time, then, this is a great time to sort of just end those connections, cut it off, point blank, block, delete, do whatever you have to do, and then really start to get into this, okay, well, I closed out that cycle. I want to start formulating my new cycle. What kind of connections do I really actually want now that I know that I don't want that, right? So that's what there is an opportunity for under this full moon. And we all have a choice to make, we really all have a choice to make. So think about how you can improve your life by releasing toxic connections and allowing in healthy ones. And this is the choice point with this Virgo full moon. Will you allow positive connections into your life and release the toxic ones, the heavy ones, the burdensome ones? Decide. You get to decide. That's the beauty of all of this. So use your intuition and knowledge to really serve yourself, to support yourself at this time. Look back at your past. Look at all the things, all the lessons you have learned as a result of moving through all those trials and tribulations. Look at everything that you have learned and where you are today now, the wisdom that you have today now. Can you make new, better choices for yourself based on that? And above all, self-love, of course, is going to be the most important aspect of this full moon, because everything I just talked about really actually means to love yourself. Can you love yourself enough to release toxic connections? Can you love yourself enough to allow yourself to release frustration and stress? Can you love yourself enough to allow yourself to let go of, suppressed emotions and stop trying to squeeze things down within you? Can you love yourself enough to speak your truth, to say what you need to say to another, to free yourself of that burden that you have been carrying? Can you love yourself enough to speak up for yourself? Thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate you guys. I hope you have a beautiful full moon weekend. And I wish you all the best, and I wish you all of the courage and strength to speak your truth openly, honestly, and from your heart. And that's all that is required. Nothing more, nothing less. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.